It's hard to talk about anything today without thinking about and talking about the horrific murder that happened, basically for the whole nation to see and has been on people's minds. The murder of Charlie Kirk a couple days ago. Um, I I was not the biggest Charlie Kirk fan in general, although I do tend to share most of his beliefs. Um, but I wasn't necessarily following him closely or, um, kind of part of a particular crowd um, that was interested in him. Um, so I'm not going to kind of go into anything about him specifically, but um, I actually wanted to talk about discipline and um, what happened just highlights something to me that I think really needs to be discussed more. And that is the idea of, well, I mean, it goes back to parenting. I'll just keep it simple. And that's why discipline is important to me. I think we like to use the term discipline when it comes to parenting, when what we really mean is punishment. And I have four daughters. I definitely think that I have a huge responsibility to raise them to be um, productive, contributing members of society, but also to be morally good, or at least as good as they can be. And in helping um, forge their character to be the kind of people that the world needs, to be the kind of people that aren't not only going and taking someone's life because they disagree with him, but beyond just the shooter himself, there's uh, a lot of people who are celebrating and think it's a good thing that this person died, just like they did when the um, CEO of the health insurance company was shot, and they turned his shooter into a hero. Um, and I don't think I need to spend a ton of time making the case that that is sick, because that is self-evident to most people with any sense of morality or ethics at all. Um, but I think the reason we've gotten to a place where these things are happening and where we think that this is um, okay, or where we have to now have this conversation about, are we really okay with taking people's lives because they disagree with us? And this is just a tangent, but as a side note, let me just say one of the main arguments I've heard from people who think that either it's worth celebrating, or even if they pretend to be a little more sane and they say, I'm not going to celebrate it, but I'm also not going to mourn his loss or his passing, because essentially he did deserve to die after all, even though I don't think somebody should have taken his life directly. And I think saying that a person deserves to die, because most of the arguments that these people are giving, to finish my thought, is that he deserved to die because he didn't think other people deserved to live. So they will point to comments that he's made about, um, you know, trans identifying people, or certain individuals and their race, and the impact that that has on kind of their position in society, or whatever it is. And so a lot of people will say, like, he deserved to die because he thought other people deserved to die, which is a very ironic statement to make, because if somebody deserves to die for thinking that somebody else deserves to die, then you, person who is making that argument, also deserve to die, right? I mean, if that's the criteria by which we measure uh, whose life deserves to be ended, is that they thought somebody else didn't deserve to live, well, by making that argument, you're saying somebody else doesn't deserve to live. So um, it's just a circular argument that only ends in the death of everybody. It's like the um, saying, I think it gets attributed to Gandhi. I don't know. I'm not going to bother to look it up because I'm it's just coming to me off the top of my head. But that's saying like an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Um, it's that same idea. Like if you just want to kill the people who say things that you think have some impact on killing other people, then eventually everybody just kills everybody. And I think we've seen enough human history to know that that is not a viable path forward for us. Which brings me back to my original point, which is the viable path forward for us as a society, for humans in general. At the end of the day, we only have so long on this earth. And depending on how far forward you want to go, if we go forward 100 years from now, I'm not going to be around. If we go forward 50 years from now, I may or may not be around. But if we go forward 50 years from now, there's a good chance that my kids will still be around. And that is how we impact the future. And we see, people attempting to impact the future by impacting kids without having kids. And I think parents need to be leery of those folks who want to use their kids as, their kind of future soldiers. Um, but we need to be focused on, worried about investing in our own kids, which of course means, we have to have kids first. Um, but once we have those kids and we're looking at what we're supposed to do as parents, this is where I come back to this idea of discipline because I mentioned before, people tend to think discipline, they use the word discipline and punishment interchangeably. And my main argument here is that that is a huge mistake. Um, Discipline is something that we embody and accomplish and pursue individually. Um, Now, you can have discipline in a more uh, communal way, an organization, a team, a body of believers in a church, a company. Like all of these things can exercise discipline as a cultural um, identifier or as something that they pursue as part of their culture. But ultimately, when we talk about discipline of individuals, like we are when we're talking about disciplining our kids, it's our kids that um, have to take their own discipline into their own hands. It has to become a part of them. So, you think about the study that often gets cited about the kids who, had a marshmallow in front of them and they were told not to touch it. And if they left it for, whatever it was, 5 minutes, they would get a second one. And, then people left the room and let the kids, young kids, like 3 years old, um, make up their own mind what they're going to do. That is discipline. The kids either have the discipline to not eat the marshmallow or they lack the discipline and they eat it. They know what the goal is, they know what they're trying to accomplish, and they have to make the decision whether they're going to do what they need to do or not. And I think we need to be more conscious and more intentional about making that the goal as parents, that we're not trying to teach our kids right and wrong by punishing them whenever they do something we don't like and rewarding them every time they do something we do like. We need to help them build that muscle, teach them, give them opportunities, gradually build them um, into people who can handle tougher and tougher situations. The temptation of a marshmallow is a small one, but it is a representation of many things in life for people. So um, you give kids what they can handle. You give them opportunities to be in situations where they may be tempted to do the wrong thing, but they have the opportunity to do the right thing and hope and pray and encourage them to do the right thing. And if they don't, then you have the conversation. Then punishment might be in order. If they do the right thing, then there might be a reward in order. But punishments and rewards are just tools that we use to help train. Ultimately, the word discipline comes from the word disciple, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. We are not disciplining our children. We are teaching them to be disciplined people by discipling them. Um, and I think if we were more thoughtful in doing that, and let me just back up for a second. Ultimately, a generation, maybe a couple generations of people have been raised in households and the culture has accepted the idea that the parents' primary job is not to discipline their kids, that it is to let their kids uh, find themselves and to emphasize happiness and comfort in the lives of their kids. And that's what leads to some of the things that we're seeing today. One of the things that people hate, you know, on both sides of the aisle, Charlie Kirk for, and they hate, you know, people um, on the other side of things. People, it makes me almost think of like, conservatives hated Barack Obama when he said that, you didn't build that thing. And it's like, it all comes back to just selfish materialism that like, how dare he say we didn't earn this? And, or to Charlie Kirk, how dare he say that I'm not, who I know that I am, or that I don't, that I shouldn't be able to pursue the things that I love or care about. And at the end of the day, what we love or care about, or what we think we built, or what we think we've accomplished, is absolutely meaningless and nothing. Um, if you don't believe me, go read some Ecclesiastes. It's all vanity. It's all meaningless under the sun. Um, the only things that we're just storing up treasure where moth and rust destroy. The only things that last are those things that are eternal. Those pursuits that are um, Christ centered, and that's what we should be doing. And so when we talk about these events happening in our culture, I think we can't get too obsessed with the idea that we have to fix the culture. I think we have to fix our homes and our lives. We have to grow families, invest in families that will continue to grow and pass that on. And eventually, enough people raised the right way will change the course of the world. I think we're in a place right now where we've seen um, a lot of well-intentioned uh, advice and um, good faith efforts to try to make happy kids and happy lives backfire in our faces. And I think it's time we abandon um, that underdeveloped approach of humanity and return to an idea that we want our children to be disciplined, and that our job is to help teach them to be disciplined, and not to give them everything they want, and not to placate their every desire, and not to think that the pursuit of their short-term desires is the ultimate good in life, um, because Lord help us if we haven't learned that ourselves. But we have to pass it on. We have to let those who didn't learn it, who struggle to engage socially, who pursue things that will permanently make them um, incapable of contributing to future generations, uh, and just trust that the more we contribute our own belief system to the future, the brighter the future is going to be.